Many women aren't abandoned by men. They push them away, little by little, with their own attitude, all while confidently thinking, "I'm just being myself." The truth is, no one walks away from someone who shows them respect, but plenty of people will quietly drift away when they stop feeling seen as a person with worth. You don't have to do something terrible to make a man fall out of love. Just repeat the same toxic phrases often enough, for long enough, and love will die without anyone ever cheating. This video isn't here to comfort you. It's here to make you look straight in the mirror. And if you've got the guts to keep watching, you'll find out exactly what needs to change before it's too late. If this is your first time visiting the channel, hit subscribe and like so you don't miss out on exciting upcoming content. If you've ever said this to your man, you've been using love as a leash. Not to bring the two of you closer, but to pull him toward you, powered by your own insecurity. This line might sound innocent, but it's emotional blackmail. It's not an expression of love. It's a negotiation where you hide your real need and instead lay down a demand. Do this, or you don't love me. You're not looking for connection, you're demanding submission. Here's the dangerous part. It works. He might do what you want, but not out of love, out of guilt, out of pressure, out of fear that he'll lose you. And just like that, instead of building a relationship based on trust, you've created a power game, and you're holding the reins. You win, but now you're alone. Women who say this aren't evil. They do it because they feel empty, unheard, and they don't know how to express what they need. They don't believe they're worthy enough to simply say, "I need you." Without setting a trap, they use love as a weapon because they're afraid that without it, they'll have nothing. But real love doesn't work that way. It's not a contract where every action has to be traded for value. It's not a courtroom where you constantly need proof of who loves who more. Real love can only survive if you're strong enough to accept that the other person has the right to say no, the right to disagree, and you're solid enough to not fall apart because of it. And here's what many women won't admit. If you have to force your man to do something to prove he loves you, you didn't trust that love to begin with. And if you don't trust it, it's not going to last. Every time you throw out a condition like that, you're not just pushing him away. You're digging a hole inside yourself, one where your worth is tied to someone else's reaction. That path leads straight to burnout and bitterness. The solution isn't to say less or to be less difficult. The solution is learning to say what you actually feel without setting a trap. Say, "I feel alone," instead of, "If you loved me, you'd have done that." Say, "I need you here with me," instead of, "You're never around when I need you." Not because you're weak for admitting what you need, but because you're strong enough not to turn it into a mind game. Don't confuse control with connection. A man who loves you will listen to you, but he'll only stay if he's free to choose that love for himself. And if you keep testing him with "if you loved me" ultimatums, sooner or later, he'll have to choose between his freedom and the relationship. And if he's a man with a backbone, you already know what he'll choose. Here's the brutal truth. The thing you're most afraid of, being left, often happens because you tried too hard to hold on. No one can love while they're being made to feel guilty for not being enough. And no one feels safe in a relationship where every action is put on trial as a measurement of love. So if you want real love, not a fake version built on fear and constant testing, drop the games. Learn to trust your own feelings. Learn to trust the other person. And if you can't do that yet, then don't love just yet. Turn inward, heal. Learn how to stand tall without needing someone to do the right thing to prove they care. Because a woman who truly loves doesn't need proof. She becomes the proof. In the way she lives, in the way she gives, and in how she keeps her self-respect intact, even when she's told no. It sounds innocent enough. Just having fun. Who doesn't want that? But if you're a woman saying this at the start of a relationship, or worse, in the middle of one, you need to ask yourself, are you actually seeking joy? Or are you just dodging accountability? Modern women have every reason to demand freedom, to want joy, to live life on their own terms. No one's taking that away from you. But the truth no one wants to admit is this. There's a thin line between freedom and recklessness, between living fully and living without consequence. And too many women are using the language of liberation to justify a life that has no direction, no commitment, and no contribution. When you walk into a relationship saying, "I just want to have fun," you're setting the tone from day one. Don't expect anything from me. I'm not here for something serious. I'm not here to build anything with you. I'm not here to stay. I'm here to enjoy myself, and whatever happens after that, we'll deal with it later. What you don't realize is that this one sentence is enough to destroy any chance of something lasting. Because no man wants to build something real with someone who's already declared she's not sticking around. No one builds a home on sand. You might say, "Why should I have to be serious? I have the right to keep things light." Sure, but ask yourself this. If life hits you hard, if you lose your job, get sick, or go through a mental breakdown, will the person who just wants fun still be there? Or will you finally see that the freedom you've been defending was just an empty shell, not strong enough to hold you up when life breaks you down? That kind of fun without responsibility isn't liberation, it's avoidance. It's immaturity. It's a refusal to grow the hell up. A mature woman doesn't fear joy, but she knows joy can't be the end goal. She wants to laugh, but she also wants to stay, to build, to create something that matters. She doesn't treat life like a casual game, she invests in it. The more you avoid responsibility, the more you kill your chances of being respected. Don't expect a man to give you his all when you've already told him not to take you seriously. Don't complain that men only see you as a good time when you were the first one to put that label on yourself. Be honest. Do you really want fun, or are you just afraid of failure so you refuse to even try? Fun is great, but if that's all you're after, you'll get left behind when life gets brutal. And it will. You can't dodge it. When that moment comes, you won't need someone who's good at smiling while the music plays. You'll need someone who stays when the lights go out. But before you demand that from someone else, ask yourself, have you ever been that kind of person for someone else? Or have you always backed away and called it keeping it light? Stop lying to yourself with, "I just want to have fun." If that's truly all you want, don't get into a relationship. Don't damage someone else because you refuse to get clear about what you want. And if deep down you know you want something lasting, real, and meaningful, then be brave enough to ask for it and responsible enough to offer it back. Because in the end, what strong women really need isn't just a few laughs. They need a life that means something. One where they're seen, loved, and respected, not because they know how to play games, but because they know how to live with purpose. Women don't usually slap with their hands, they slap with their words. Phrases like, "You can't do anything right," or "I don't even know why I married you," might seem like harmless venting or playful teasing. But the truth is, every one of those comments is a small cut on a man's pride. Once or twice, he brushes it off. 5 times, he smiles through it. 10 times, he goes quiet. And one day, you find yourself living next to a ghost. A man who no longer speaks, no longer pushes back, and most importantly, no longer respects you. Women think they're too gentle to be violent, but there's a kind of violence that's quieter, sharper, and more persistent than any punch. Contempt disguised as humor. You mock him in front of friends. You make snide remarks when he fails. You throw out lines like, "I knew it, you'd never be able to handle this." You think you're being honest or pushing him to be better, but really, you're using words to cut him down and assert control. Sarcasm doesn't help a relationship grow. It just makes your partner shrink, put his guard up, and eventually go cold. No man feels loved when he's constantly on defense in his own home. And don't act surprised when he stops opening up to you. He's not stupid. He's just learned that every time he speaks, he gets hit with something that makes him feel small. The sad thing is, many women don't even realize they're doing this. They call it being strong, not babying men, or just being blunt. But being blunt doesn't mean being cruel. And if your so-called honesty constantly makes the man you love feel like crap, then it's not your personality, it's a problem. You can't build a strong relationship on a foundation of jabs and sarcasm. Even the strongest man has limits. You might be the first person he opens up to, or the last one he ever wants to speak to again. It all depends on how you use your words. So what should you do if you're the kind of person who dishes out constant digs? First, stop. Don't wait for everything to fall apart. Look in the mirror and ask, why do I feel the need to talk like this? Is it because I feel dismissed, so I attack first? Is it because I want to hold power in the relationship, so I use my words as weapons? Be honest, no one ever changes while still lying to themselves. Then start learning how to express what you actually feel without sarcasm. Instead of saying you're useless, say, I'm exhausted from carrying this load alone. Don't hit someone else with your own pain. If you want him to be strong, be the kind of woman who can tell the truth without causing damage. And if you truly don't respect the man beside you, leave. Don't stay just to tear him down with poison-laced words day after day. Don't crush someone's self-worth and then wonder why the love disappeared. Here's the truth. You don't need to stroke a man's ego, but if you love him, you damn well better know that his self-respect is the backbone of everything. And if you're the one destroying it, then sooner or later, he will get up, but it'll be to walk out of your life. Love doesn't need sweet talk, but it can't survive in a space where every word is a needle in someone's dignity. If you can't lift the man you love with respect, you'll kill the relationship with the very jokes you thought were harmless. Most people quit before they ever learn the biggest lesson. But if you're still watching, I know you're different. Hit subscribe, like, and let's go all the way together. You don't have to scream in someone's face to hurt them. All it takes is repeating a mild comment delivered at just the wrong time and in just the wrong tone to slowly chip away at someone's self-worth. Women are often masters of this, not because they're cruel, but because they lack the courage to confront their own real emotions directly. So they choose the safer route: subtle sarcasm, casual comparisons, drip-fed criticism. But it's that very subtlety that kills people slowly. You won't yell at him in front of friends, but you'll make sure to say, my ex was better at listening. You won't directly say he disappointed you, but you'll sigh when he gets something wrong and follow it with, I thought you already knew that. You don't need cruel words because the disrespect is in your tone, your eyes, the way you withdraw your support little by little, like you're punishing a child for failing a test. This is a form of emotional violence. Almost no one calls by name. It's quiet, it sounds reasonable, and it gives the speaker a false sense of righteousness, because I didn't insult him, I just told the truth. But that truth doesn't come from a desire to help him grow. It comes from unresolved frustration that's built up and now leaks out in every sentence. And if you keep doing it long enough, the man beside you will come to one painful realization. He's no longer someone you respect. He's just the target for your bitterness. Let's be clear, when you use passive-aggressive language to criticize, you're no longer communicating. You're offloading your emotional responsibility onto someone else. You're not facing what's actually going on inside you. You're avoiding it by pinning the blame for your unhappiness entirely on him. And in the process, you're teaching him one thing, that he's never enough, that no matter what he does, it will never be quite right. You might think you're helping him improve, but no one grows under a steady stream of backhanded comments. No one can open up when they constantly have to read your body language to figure out what you're upset about this time. A relationship can't thrive when the hurt comes from things too small to fight over, but too persistent to ignore. The only solution is direct, honest conversation. If you're dissatisfied, say it, clearly, decisively, without sugarcoating, and without emotional traps. A mature woman doesn't wound others with whispered poison. She speaks the truth without demeaning. She critiques behavior without attacking dignity. She gets angry, but doesn't use 1,000 little cuts to make someone bleed slowly. If you can't say what you mean, then don't say what you don't mean. Don't use your words as a hidden weapon. And if you find yourself doing it again and again, it's time to ask the hard question. Do you even want to be in this relationship anymore? Or are you just hanging on out of obligation and fear of starting over? No one deserves to live in a space where every sentence feels like a quiet punishment. Don't think you're innocent just because you didn't raise your voice. People don't die from snowstorms. They die from the cold that seeps into their bones. Words work the same way. A relationship might survive a single betrayal, but it can be destroyed by hundreds of seemingly harmless remarks. And when it finally collapses, you won't even understand why, because each comment was too small to fight over. But together, they became the reason he stopped trying. And there's nothing more brutal than living with someone who once loved you, once fought for you, but now says nothing, because no matter what he says, it's always wrong. So he just stops talking. Forever. You don't have to insult him. You don't have to yell. All it takes is ignoring him while he's speaking. All it takes is looking past his eyes when he's searching for connection, both of you in the same room, in total silence. All it takes is looking at your phone more than you look at your man. And that's enough. Enough to break a relationship, quietly, slowly, without warning. Women often think disrespect only happens when they scream, curse, or tear someone down in public. But in real life, disrespect doesn't always make noise. It lives in the frown you give when you're disappointed, but say nothing. It lives in the blank stare when he's sharing something important. It shows up every time you choose to judge instead of understand. It's not always obvious, but it's very real. What kills a man isn't betrayal. It's the cold silence, the repeated signals that he's no longer a priority, no longer valued, no longer a source of inspiration to the woman standing beside him. He doesn't hear you shouting. He hears you saying nothing. And yet the message is loud and clear. You're not worth caring about anymore. And here's a truth many women don't want to face. When you allow disrespectful behavior to become routine, you're not just hurting that man, you're teaching him that you don't respect yourself. Because no one treats someone well for long when that person sets no standards. You let him endure, you get used to dismissing him, and you treat his patience like it's a duty he owes you. One day, you'll realize the man who once loved you deeply isn't there anymore. Not in body, and definitely not in spirit. Love cannot survive in an environment where respect is no longer the default. A strong man won't beg to be seen. He might speak up once, maybe twice, but if nothing changes, he'll walk away quietly. And when he does, it won't be because you're no longer attractive. It'll be because he refuses to stay where his presence feels like an inconvenience, or worse, an annoyance. You think staying quiet keeps the peace. But in reality, you're letting the relationship drift into emotional dead space where neither of you wants to try anymore. And if you keep letting it slide, keep repeating the indifference, keep letting subtle signals of contempt seep into your gestures, your tone, your expressions, then you're killing the love. Day by day. The solution isn't a half-hearted apology or the occasional sweet gesture when you notice him pulling away. The solution is rebuilding the foundation. Act like he deserves your respect, even when you're angry, tired, or dissatisfied. Respect isn't a reward for good behavior. It's a standard you hold yourself to, because once respect is gone, nothing else matters. And if you can't do that, then you're free to stay in a relationship that's already a corpse. But don't be surprised when one day he wakes up, looks at you one last time, and walks away. No complaints, no drama. Just finally understanding that no one is obligated to stay in a place where they're no longer treated like a person. Remember this, the man you no longer respect will inevitably become the man you lose. Not because he's weak, but because you taught him he wasn't worthy, and he simply learned the lesson you made sure to teach. Core principles for women. Love can't save anyone without respect, and women need to understand this. You can't expect your man to become his best version if you don't hold yourself to a clear standard. You want to be deeply loved? Then live like a woman who's worth loving deeply. Respect isn't something you give to others when they earn it. It's a rule you keep for yourself. A woman who knows her boundaries, who's clear on what she'll accept and what she'll never tolerate, automatically carries power. But a woman without principles, willing to accept anything just to feel loved, will eventually be left behind, because no one respects someone who doesn't respect herself. You have every right to be vulnerable, to feel hurt, to be afraid. But you don't have the right to use those feelings to control someone else, to make yourself miserable, or to blame the world. No one's coming to save you. If you don't save yourself first, every "I love you" is a lie. A grown woman doesn't beg for love. She chooses love. She enters relationships not to be coddled like a child, but to walk beside someone as an equal. And when love begins to cost her dignity, she doesn't cry. She doesn't try to fix him. She doesn't suffer silently. She walks away. Calm, clear, final. Never negotiate with disrespect. If your man belittles you, dismisses your feelings, or keeps crossing lines you've clearly drawn, you don't need to say much. You just need to leave. Because a truly strong woman isn't the one who can endure the most pain. She's the one who knows exactly when to let go and doesn't need permission to do it. Love is not a battlefield where you're supposed to sacrifice your self-worth. It's the place where you show up as your full self and shine. If you have to lose who you are to keep a relationship, then what you're holding on to isn't love, it's fear. And finally, live like someone you yourself would respect. Not because it'll make a man love you more, but because you'll never again settle for cheap love. Thank you for being here. If you found this video helpful, subscribe, turn on notifications, and like this video. Don't forget to leave a comment so we can spread positivity together.